Yoseo, hello, all my beautiful people. How are you doing today? And welcome to the alternate point of view. Today, I want to talk about Michael Jackson Bolanos. Don't think that that case is over, and I have forgotten because I have not. I've actually been watching a lot of other crime shows, unsolved mysteries, unsolved crimes, cold cases, other things that are very, very similar to the Samantha Woll case. And I've been doing this because I've been trying to figure out for the life of me how in the world Michael Jackson Bolanos got tried, charged, everything for this crime. And I just can't make it make sense. I can't math it. I can't anything. And first of all, I'll just tell you I'm not great at math anyway, but I just can't figure this crime scene out. And I watched the trial, obviously, followed the trial. I've done an entire series. Excuse me. I've done an entire series about Samantha Woll. I have reached out to people trying to get to know Samantha more. I have tried to get information about the crime itself, but obviously the trial is still ongoing. They're still trying to decide. As a matter of fact, tomorrow the prosecution is supposed to answer whether or not they are going to dismiss the charges or not. Also, August 9th, they will meet whether or not they will retry the case, but tomorrow is the date on whether or not the prosecution or the court will dismiss the charges. So here is my thing. I just watched a very interesting Unsolved Mysteries on Hulu, and I saw a very similar case in Quebec, I believe it was, on Unsolved Mysteries. And it was so similar with the blood evidence, the droplets of blood, the just the amount of blood, the lack of footprint evidence, the lack of fingerprint evidence, the amount of blood, the all of the things. Excuse me again. Oh my goodness, y'all. But just all of it was so similar. And the only difference was that this young lady had her pants were down to her knees, but the amount of blood on the scene was very similar. I could show you some pictures of this scene. You would see the scene was so messy and so bloody, but yet there were no footprints left behind, like none. And I don't understand how there were no footprints. The only footprints that there were, believe it or not, same as Samantha, were bare footprints, because apparently the Amanda had slippers on at one point, and they could not find a person or anyone that could have possibly. There was no forced entry either, so no forced entry with Amanda. This is Amanda, you guys. So this is Amanda. This was her husband. He was out of town, and they have ruled him out completely. He really was out of town. There was evidence that tracked him, all of that. So he did have data to track him, unlike Jeff Herbsman, who confessed to the murder of Samantha Woll. But they had data that tracked him. They had camera surveillance that tracked him. They had all of the things. So obviously they didn't see where her husband did anything. But Amanda, who they found dead at the bottom of her stairs in her basement, okay, this was the bottom of her stairs. So this case is very, very sad because it's not solved. It was found to be, and it's still not solved. And this happened in 2015. It's been not only, but it's 10 years ago. So it's DNA isn't a thing. It's not like forensics isn't a thing. It's not like data isn't a thing. So she's not at a point where we can't find out where or whom or any of those things. So they have fingerprint analysis, they have blood analysis, they have all of these things. They have rape kit testing. They have all of the things that you can do to find out what possibly could have happened to her. But they don't know, look at how bloody this crime scene is with her. There's just blood everywhere. There's blood that goes all the way down the stairs, much like in Samantha Woll. There was blood that went down the stairs. There was unexplained areas where they just couldn't figure out how the blood pooled where it did. They couldn't figure out how there weren't any fingerprints. They couldn't figure out it's just covered in blood. There was blood. Somehow this was broken at the top of the stairs, so it looked as if there was a struggle, much like in Samantha Woll's apartment. It looked like there was a struggle. There looks like there's this pulling down here. There's a lot of, looks like a struggle, of course, because there's smearing, but no footprints at all. She has a chair overturned. Her phone is here. It looks as if she was probably on her phone. Again, very similar to Samantha Woll. Samantha Woll's phone was under her sofa. There was a fruit bowl overturned in Samantha Woll's house. Again, it looked like there was a confrontation. Also, in Amanda's situation, her face was beaten. They did a rape kit. You can see where all of these situations you can find, it looks as if there was an altercation. The blood, no footprints, no fingerprints, no nothing. So as you can see, there's a lot of blood, right? A lot. So there's all of this blood. There's all of this smearing, but there's no footprints. There's no fingerprints. It's all very, very similar to Samantha Woll. They didn't find any footprints for Samantha Woll. They found a lot of bare footprints. It looked like it was just a very bloody scene. No forced entry. Nothing. It was almost as if someone, like a ghost, came in. Very similar to Samantha Woll. Such a messy scene. So messy, so bloody, so horrific, but yet no evidence of any kind. And this is a cold case. This has been a cold case for almost 10 years. And this is a case where they believe that it could be someone she knew because there was no forced entry. Or it could be a transient because of the neighborhood. Again, so many similarities between Amanda Antoni and Samantha Woll that you just can't, it's just parallel. Samantha Woll also lived in downtown Detroit, lots of transients, right? So her door was unlocked. Also, Amanda, her back gate was a sense of tension, and it was not a great neighborhood. Her back gate, people would go in and out, just walk in their backyard randomly. Her husband couldn't recall if when he got home, if the back door was open or not open. So that's another situation with Samantha Woll. Was her front door open or not open? Was it cracked? We don't know. The sensor says the door showed open. So was it a transient? Was it someone she knew? Was someone in the house? Did Amanda have someone over? Was it what happened? So all of these questions, right? But here's the difference. The difference is they didn't jump to someone right away. Okay. They cleared the husband because the husband was obviously out of town. They have proof They tracked him on his phone. They tracked him on surveillance and were like, okay, it's not him. But they didn't go and try to track down a random person and get surveillance and say, oh, it's this person, just to solve the case. They want to make sure they have the right person. Unfortunately, her case is cold, but does that mean that they're not going to find the person? They have suspicions that, it's someone that she knows. They have suspicions that because she and her husband turned in her husband's sister to Child Protective Services over some children issues, abuse issue allegations, that they kind of actually felt like it might have been a family member, that they knew that her husband was going to be out of town. So there's some wishy-washiness about that. But that's what I'm talking about. There are so many similarities in that case and Samantha Woll's case. The difference in these cases is money. The difference in these cases is the police there did not rush to judgment. They're actually following every lead very carefully and making sure that they're doing a proper investigation. And this isn't the only case that I've noticed that has very big similarities to Samantha Woll's case. This isn't the only case where there is just bloody scene and no fingerprints and no footprints and nothing to link a person and no forced entry. And the case is still not solved. But the difference is money. The difference is influence. The difference is who is pushing the buttons. That's the difference. So what I can see is that the blood evidence is just insane. And exactly what this show told, what these police officers talked about was there's no footprints leading out. There's no footprints outside. There's nothing. And it's much like Samantha Woll's situation. There's nothing leading out of the house other than what they say, the cops say, is Samantha Woll. So how would there be such a bloody crime scene and nothing showing another person? And now, mind you, Samantha Woll was stabbed multiple times, but now the police in Quebec are trying to say that possibly Amanda fell down the stairs and all of this happened to her falling down the stairs. I mean, whoa, that's a stretch. That's a huge amount of injury. And also her husband said she didn't like the basement, that she wouldn't go down there by herself. So especially if her husband wasn't home, she probably wouldn't have gone down there alone. So that's not something she would have done. And also the dog, they had a dog, and the dog, and again, it's another situation so similar to Samantha Woll. There's a dog involved. There's no footprints down there. The dog never went down there to even check on Amanda. So, and again, there's witnesses that hear yelling in the middle of the night, and they hear Amanda screaming. Much like there was a neighbor that heard Samantha screaming, but they just discarded it. And the same thing in this neighborhood. This happens in these neighborhoods that are supposedly, unsafe, and people are just used to it. They're just immune to it. They hear this and they're like, oh, whatever. It's just somebody screaming. Whatever. Okay. So, and the neighbor that found Samantha had a dog. What kind of dog? Did this dog step in the blood? Were there footprints of dog prints? I mean, I don't know. The same thing with this situation. There were no dog prints in the blood. The dog never went down there. The dog was just in the house. But, where did this happen? Apparently, it all happened at some point. It started in their dining area because her phone was found there. The chair was toppled over, and then it went to the downstairs area. But there's no signs of another person other than what looks to be an altercation, much like Samantha Woll. The difference is that the police in Detroit were pushed and forced to find anything, anyone. And because they had no phone data to link any of the other people that supposedly were connected to Samantha, at least that we know of, according to the police, they say none of these people were in the area by their phone data. And we just are taking that, that they say that there wasn't anyone there. Except for Michael Jackson Bolanos was in the area because he was walking downtown Detroit. They can't say that Michael was in her house. They can't say that Michael even had a knife. Michael he wasn't even covered in all of this blood that was just everywhere in Samantha's house. Not any, his shoes, his pants, nothing. I mean, what in the world could possibly, what, he walked away clean. He's walking downtown Detroit completely clean. So who is the person who killed Samantha Woll if it's not Jeff Herbstman who confessed to the killing of Samantha Woll? So Michael Jackson Bolanos has been found not guilty on the main charge of premeditated murder, which is the umbrella of the charges. Okay, so the other charges of murder and burglary with the intent to murder, you cannot find him guilty on those. They deadlocked on those charges. So if he hasn't been found guilty of premeditated murder, the others show intent. The other charges that the prosecution are trying to charge him with have intent. If you don't find him guilty of premeditated murder, then you can't find him guilty or charge him with intent to murder because he had no intent to murder anyone that night. He didn't do it. So I know, God rest her soul, Samantha was a very good person. She didn't deserve to die the way she did. But someone clearly had it out for her. Something is amiss. Something is wrong. And I believe still to this day, it has something to do with that synagogue or some type of connection she had with someone. And I still believe that either Jeff falsely confessed for someone or something for whatever reason, I'm not really sure. But at the beginning of the investigation, they were ready to announce a suspect, and it was not going to be Michael Jackson Bolanos. He wasn't even on their radar. But to look at those crime scene photos from Amanda Anton's death, and then to see all the parallels between that scene and Samantha Woll's scene. I mean, they both lived in bad neighborhoods. They both had dogs involved. They both were very, very bloody crime scenes. They both had no forced entry. They both had situations where there were people that they knew. They both had situations where there was no fingerprints, no footprints. They both had situations where it was at night, they were alone. There's just so many similarities. The difference is that the police did not jump the gun and immediately try to find someone to charge, because the cops in Detroit were ready to charge someone within like 48 hours. Okay. And also the medical examiner said in Amanda's situation that she was with blunt force trauma. Like she had blunt force trauma. So something happened. And granted, blunt force trauma could be falling down the stairs. She could have been shoved down the stairs maybe that's why there weren't any footprints or anything in the blood. Maybe because the person hit her upside the head and threw her down the stairs. But again, it doesn't explain why her pants were down by her knees. They didn't say if she was assaulted or not. I'm not sure of, but again, there was a rape test kit done, also like on Samantha Woll, rape test kit done. All of these similarities in these cases, but the difference is that Detroit grabbed a guy off the street who was walking in downtown Detroit that night and decided we're going to match up his cell phone data and see where all he was. But also the difference is that Samantha's autopsy was not complete, and the medical examiner did not put a time of death on her autopsy, which makes zero sense. And they are going off an ADT alarm system to give the time of death. That is not how you give a time of death. That is, yeah, you don't give a time of death based on an ADT alarm system trigger. You actually have a medical examiner give a time of death. The medical examiner estimates the time of death, and that's what you go off of. You don't go off an ADT alarm motion sensor. So I just wanted to give a small comparison, which to me is actually pretty big, because I've been watching a lot of cases that have been coming up that are very similar to Samantha Woll's case. And the blood evidence is very, very, very important, because that shows you that the crime scene technicians, the DNA workers, everyone, the investigators, everyone involved in the case, all had jobs to do, and they didn't speak to each other. Okay. They didn't talk to each other. They just collected what they needed to collect. Like this technician had to collect this piece, and they passed it over to this person. And then that person passed it over to this person. And then it just kept getting passed on and passed on and passed on. And it got tested, and then they reported it to this person. And it just was going on and on and on. It was like a never ending, waterfall of jobs that people had and did, and then moved along. So the sad part is that I don't know if Samantha Woll is going to actually get justice. And the other sad part is that her family actually believes that Michael Jackson Bolanos did this. And that's sad, because no, if they can see this case of Amanda in Quebec, they could see that it is possible to have this much of a bloody crime scene, this much of a bloody crime scene, and not find the evidence that you need to solve it, because it could be a mystery. Again, no forced entry, no fingerprints, no footprints, no nothing. It is literally a mystery as to what happened to her. And it's very, very bloody. And that wasn't the only thing on the Unsolved Mysteries that had a very bloody crime scene, a very horrific death, and no one can figure out who killed this woman. Granted, the other case was in 1977, so technology was not up to par. But again, very, very bloody crime scene, no footprints, no fingerprints, no nothing. And it just baffles the mind that you can solve a case as quickly as the Detroit Police Department did, when they have a very low percentage of case solving, as they do in Detroit. Again, and as I stated in another video, Kim Worthy supposedly found a warehouse full of nearly 12,000 rape kits that were not tested. And Samantha Woll's is another one. She had a rape kit done on her, and they didn't test it. So we don't know. And they could still test it if they wanted to. They just choose not to. So I want to say again, if you don't know about the Samantha Woll trial, you don't know about Michael Jackson Bolanos, you need to learn about Michael Jackson Bolanos. You need to see where Jeff Herbstman confessed to the killing of Samantha Woll. And the police department didn't even say his name. They didn't even mention him. They didn't even say her ex-boyfriend confessed to killing her. They never said it. They never brought his name up in the news. They never anything. Literally less than 48 hours after she was murdered, the police department was like, we are ready to name a suspect. We are not ready to tell the relationship between the two, but we have a suspect. And then They rewound and were like, never mind. Because you know why? Because Samantha was in a very powerful position. She knew a lot of powerful people, and they had to back that up because money talks, you guys. Again, I'm going to tell you again, the synagogue holds the key. The sponsors hold the key. Dana Nasser, Gretchen Whitmer, that rabbi, somebody there knows something. They all know something. And they're hiding Jeff. They're taking Jeff under their wing. Everyone who thought Jeff was so weird, now all of a sudden thinks Jeff is so great, so great. Brett Foreman, so great. Aaron, so great. Everybody's so great, so great, so cool. But Michael Jackson Bolanos, he's just this random guy that, no one probably would have ever heard of. At least none of these people would have ever heard of him. We would have never heard of him if not for this case. So looking at those bloody pictures from Amanda's case, and now the internet won't show me any of the pictures, I don't know why, from Samantha's case, because they are in the trial. But her case is very similar. Lots of blood in her townhouse. She was soaked in blood. And the police department, there were actually a couple of footprints in her apartment, but they did not take any samples. They also decided that they didn't want to test the rape kit. So many things that they didn't do because they were so busy trying to compare surveillance footage of where Michael Jackson Bolanos was all night long, as opposed to trying to find out exactly where Jeff Herbstman was, because his phone never left his house, and he supposedly was listening to a podcast and a record, and he was in bed. That's his best alibi. Most police and detectives, when you have an alibi that weak, they will crack that up like Humpty Dumpty. But not here. Nope, not here. So I just wanted to do a quick video about this because I wanted to show you that I have not stopped trying to get justice for Michael and justice for Samantha. This is never going to stop because this is very, very important. But I have been watching other cases. I have been looking at very similar cases with lots of blood, lots of messy crime scenes, and trying to figure out why it is that there are so many cases that are so similar to this, and so many cases that those cases are still cold cases, which is very sad, but also because these police departments are still working on those cases, and they're not jumping to someone and trying to prosecute someone who's innocent, because, that just makes sense. Also, because Michael Jackson Bolanos has been found not guilty and he's still sitting in jail. He didn't get to bond, which I also want to point out, because there are so many other people that get to sit out on bond when they're charged with murder, like Ashley Benefield. She was out on bond for 4 years while she awaited her trial, and she was also charged with murder. Also, there's so many people that just sit out on bond and they're charged with murder. So Michael Jackson Bolanos is not charged. He's not convicted of murder right now. He's actually was found not guilty, and he did not get to be bonded out. So we are raising money for him on a GoFundMe. It is going to be in the description. If you will please go there and donate to Michael's GoFundMe, I would greatly appreciate it. We are trying to raise money for Michael because it is not fair. I would much rather have, as the saying goes for attorneys, we would rather allow, so many to go free than to have someone innocent incarcerated. It's not fair, because in our justice system, you are innocent until proven guilty. And if we would go by that, then we would be much better off. But unfortunately, due to channels like mine, social media, the news, we are trial by media, and it's not really fair. So I hope that you will look at the trial with a new set of eyes. You will see that, there are people out there that are really being railroaded, and Michael is one of those people. And you can see the bloody crime scene of Amanda. And, as you look at the trial of Samantha, you look at my other videos of Murder on Joliet Place, and you can see that Samantha's apartment, her townhome, was very bloody. Samantha was stabbed 8 times, and she bled out very slowly. She didn't have any major arteries hit, according to the medical examiner. I'm not really sure how much stock I put into the medical examiner, since it was an incomplete medical autopsy. And they didn't even put a time of death on her autopsy. So we don't know. We don't know when Samantha was attacked. We have no idea. They're literally going off an ADT alarm motion sensor. And it makes me sad that a jury didn't pay better attention to that. It makes me sad that a jury would think that that's okay, that their life would be set by a motion sensor. I don't know. I'm hoping that some of the jury sees some of these videos and realizes that, wow, that could be you sitting in that defense chair. That could be your son. That could be your daughter, fighting for their life, and all off of some garbage evidence, all off of mocked up evidence. It's not even evidence. It's not even real evidence. It is made up stuff just to close this case out, because it was high profile again. And I'll say this again. It was national attention, national. And then it went crickets. Why? Because this is not the narrative. This is not a good narrative. It's an election year. And if you guys don't know and see that, I don't know what to tell you, because you can't have a Black guy on trial for killing a white woman in a Democrat city during a election. No. You also have a Black woman. Well, I'm sorry. Scratch that. You have an Indian American woman running for president, not by voting for her. She was just, thrown in there. But you can't have this happening at this time in an election year. It does not look good for Democrats, because this is the very thing that they supposedly put their hat on, that, Black Lives Matter, people. No, they don't. Not unless they're dead. I'm learning that the hard way. And I'm speaking the truth, because I have been trying to raise money for Michael. I've been speaking out for Michael for quite some time, as all of my viewers have. And we have learned the hard way, you guys, that Black people don't care. No one cares. Democrats don't care about Black lives, or wrongfully convicted, or wrongfully charged, or wrongfully anything, unless they're dead. That I've learned the hard way. The only time it matters is when they've actually been killed by a police officer. That's the only time it matters. Any other time, it does not matter. So that's when that matters. Actually, for me, everybody's life is precious. Everyone's. I don't give a crap what color you are. Your life matters. We all bleed red. Okay? We're all God's children. So I don't care what color you are. Because God forbid we ever came up with, a white lives matter, Asian lives matter, all this kind of crap. We can't have, because that's, first of all, why are we doing that? It's too divisive. Who cares? Everybody's life matters. We're all God's children. So, but right now I'm making a video about Michael Jackson Bolanos. And for me, his life is important because he is being wrongfully accused of something he did not do. And I feel horrible for Samantha's family, because I feel like, due to the pressure of whatever politician is pulling the strings here, whatever money is being thrown at this, that they will never see justice for Samantha. And I'm sad about that. I'm sad because there is something very wrong with this situation. And because Jeffrey Herbstman, do not forget his name, Jeffrey Herbstman, who I can't find anything on the internet. He's a very elusive, very hidden person, confessed to killing Samantha Woll. He called the police on himself and had a criminal attorney ready because he knew he was going to confess to her murder. And they are allowing a confessed murderer in their synagogue to hold the Torah. So I don't know if it's Jewish people uniting with other Jewish people just because they're Jewish or what it is. But a killer's a killer's a killer's a killer. And I would want the right killer for my family member. I wouldn't give two craps if they were Asian or white or purple or black or blue or whatever. I don't care if they're the same race as me. I would want that person to be taken care of. I would want justice. I wouldn't hide that person behind my race and religion. So I just want to say again, the similarities between Amanda's case and Samantha's case is so crazy. And I think everyone should be checking out. I'll keep you updated tomorrow to see if I hear anything about Michael's case being dismissed or not. That is what we're looking for. It's what we're praying for. And we also are praying for justice for Samantha, because at the end of the day, that is what we need to get. We want Michael Jackson Bolanos to be freed, but we really, really, really want justice for Samantha. We want the right person to be held accountable. So pray for Samantha's family, pray for Michael, pray for Tiara, pray for her mom. Just pray for everyone involved in this ugly, ugly situation. And I just hope that you will see the similarities in these cases and understand that you can't solve a case this ugly without much evidence, without a lot of leads, which they had a lot of leads, but apparently they weren't as well investigated as a random guy walking the streets in downtown Detroit. So I don't know. But thank you so much for watching. I just want to put this out there as a reminder that this is still ongoing and we're not forgetting this. So I appreciate you all. Please like, subscribe, and share. And also do not forget to buy me a coffee if you like this content. And there's also my Cash App and my PayPal me. I am not monetized. 70% of my viewers do not subscribe to this channel. And I would love it if you would add to the subscriptions, like, share, leave a comment, help the algorithm, and get this channel on up there. I greatly appreciate you all so much. Kamsahamnida. I will see you in the next video.